was 2 in the afternoon, a Tuesday, a grocery store parking lot in a Denver suburb, the kind of lot that is busy and lit and full of families and shopping carts and the entirely unremarkable activity of ordinary life. I had been inside for about 25 minutes. I came out with 2 bags. I pressed my key fob. My car flashed, a silver sedan, 3rd row from the entrance, exactly where I had left it. I opened the trunk. I put the bags in. I closed the trunk. I got in the driver's seat. I put the key in the ignition. And I noticed the smell. Cologne. Not mine. Not anyone who had been in my car recently. A man's cologne. Specific. Clothes. I looked in the rearview mirror. A man was in my back seat, lying down, across the seat, deliberately low. I had not seen him when I got in. I had not looked. I opened the door and I got out of that car before I had consciously decided to get out of that car. My body made the decision before my brain did. I was out of the car and moving away from it in approximately 2 seconds. I did not look back until I was 20 feet away. He was still in the back seat. I called 911 from 20 feet away. I gave the location. I said there was a man in the back seat of my car who had been there when I got in. I gave the make and model and my plate number. I did not go back to the car. Denver PD arrived in 4 minutes. They removed him from the vehicle. He was 29 years old. He had a prior conviction for a violent offense that I will not detail here. He had no connection to me. He had not followed me into the lot. He had been there before I arrived. He had chosen my car, for reasons the investigation worked to determine. The detective who took my full statement said, "You got out before you processed it. Your body registered something wrong and moved before your conscious mind caught up. That reflex, the one that got you out of the seat, is the thing that ended this. Most people freeze. They sit there and try to understand what they're seeing before they react. You didn't. You were out before you decided to be out. That reflex may have saved your life. Trust that reflex. If your body moves before your brain does, let it. Your body is usually right," he said. "And check your back seat before you get in. Every single time. Before you close the door. Look. It takes 3 seconds. Give it those 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Before you close the door. Every time. Your car, your driveway, a parking lot in the middle of the afternoon. Every time." I had walked that path 400 times. I know it was 400 because I counted once. How many times per week, across how many months? 400 was the conservative estimate. A campus path, from the library to my dormitory. 11 minutes, lit at regular intervals by campus lighting. A path that other students use constantly during the day, and that thinned out after midnight. I had walked it at every hour. I knew every bench, every tree. The section near the science building where the light was slightly dimmer because one of the lamp fixtures had been broken for a semester and kept getting pushed down the maintenance list. I knew this path. On a November night, I was heading back from the library at 12:40 a.m. Headphones in, one ear only a habit. The path was empty, normal for 12:40 on a Tuesday. I was at the dimmer section near the science building when I became aware of someone behind me. Not close, maybe 40 feet. I did not think anything of it until I slowed my pace and they slowed. I sped up slightly. They sped up. I had a specific memory, in that moment, of something I had read years earlier about the speed test. Changing your pace to determine if someone is tracking you or simply going the same direction by coincidence. I turned. Not a full stop. A direction change, as though I had remembered something I had left behind, walking back the way I had come. The figure behind me stopped. Stood still. In the dimmer section of the path near the science building, watching me turn. I changed direction again, off the main path, toward the science building entrance, which I knew was staffed at night by a campus security officer. I walked to the building entrance. I went inside. I told the officer at the desk. Someone was following me on the path outside. They matched my pace changes. I came here. I need someone to walk me the rest of the way to my dorm. The officer did not question me. He radioed for a second officer. The second officer walked me to my dormitory. The first went to the path. He found no one there. The figure had gone when I entered the building. But the officer filed a report, and when I gave a description, the build, the jacket, the section of path, the report was matched against a prior report from 2 weeks earlier. A different student. Same path. Same section near the science building. Same behavior. The other student had not filed a report. She had gone home and not told anyone. My report connected to her experience. Together they created a pattern. Together they triggered a campus safety response. Additional lighting in the dim section, increased patrol frequency, a campus safety alert sent to all students. The campus safety director said, 2 reports instead of 1 changes what we can do. 1 report is a concern. 2 reports with matching descriptions is a pattern we can act on. The student who didn't report, she made the safe choice in the moment. But the report she didn't file is a gap in the pattern. Every report matters, especially when nothing happened. The nothing happened report is sometimes the most important one. The nothing happened report. File it. Every time. Even when you made it safely to your destination. Especially then. My husband was traveling. He traveled for work about twice a month, 3 or 4 days at a time. I had been alone in the house during his trips for 6 years. I was not someone who found it uncomfortable. Our house was in rural eastern Kentucky, a house we had built 7 years earlier on 15 acres. The nearest neighbor was 3/4 of a mile away. The county road was half a mile from the house. I knew the sounds of that house and that land completely. On a Thursday night in March, I was in the kitchen making tea at 10 p.m. when I heard my phone ring. My cell phone in the living room. I walked to get it. I looked at the screen. My husband. I answered. He said, "Hey, just checking in. What are you doing?" I said, "Making tea. Everything fine here." He said, "Good. Hey, is someone there with you?" I said, "No. I'm alone." "Why?" He said, "I just heard a voice. Behind you. When you picked up. A voice." I stood completely still in my living room. I said, "What did it say?" He said, "I don't know. It was quiet, but it was there. Behind your voice when you answered. Call 911. Right now. I'll stay on the line." I called 911 on a second line. I kept my husband on the first. I gave the address. I gave the situation. I said my husband had heard a voice in the background when I answered the phone. I said I had not heard it. I said I was alone in a rural home and I needed someone to check the property. I was told to stay on the line and move to an interior room. I went to the bathroom, interior, no windows, and I locked the door. I stayed on the phone with the dispatcher and with my husband simultaneously. For 14 minutes. The response time to a rural address in eastern Kentucky, 14 minutes, was fast. Officers cleared the house. They found no one inside. But at the back of the house, a window in the laundry room that I had left cracked for ventilation, the window screen had been displaced. And in the laundry room, the door that connected to the kitchen, which I had walked through minutes before to answer my phone, that door was not in the position I had left it. Not wide open. Not dramatically wrong. But moved. The officers found boot prints in the mud below the laundry room window. Someone had been at that window, had pushed the screen, had looked in, or more. The investigation did not produce an arrest. The prints were not sufficient for identification, and no one was located on the property. What my husband had heard, the voice, he described as low, barely audible. The kind of sound that would have been inaudible to me in the moment, but that the phone's microphone had picked up and transmitted. A voice in my house that I had not been aware of, that my husband heard from 400 miles away. Through a phone call, the officer said, the phone was the alarm. Not a system, not a camera. The phone and the person on the other end who was listening. Human ears heard what you couldn't. The call itself was the detection system. Stay on the phone when you're alone. It costs nothing, and sometimes the person on the other end hears what you miss. Stay on the phone when you're alone. When something feels uncertain, the person on the other end of the line is sometimes the one who hears what you can't. Tuesday evening, 8:30 p.m. I was getting ready to go out. A friend's birthday dinner, nothing significant. I was in my bathroom. The bathroom in my apartment was small. A single window above the toilet, frosted glass, not see-through from outside but letting light in. A vanity mirror above the sink. I was at the mirror. I was doing what you do at a bathroom mirror, completely routine, completely unremarkable. And in the mirror, in the reflection of the bathroom behind me, I saw the frosted window. And in the frosted window, a shadow. A shape. The shape of a person, standing on the other side of the frosted glass. At my bathroom window. I was on the 3rd floor. I looked at that shadow for, I believe, 3 full seconds. Then I turned around. The window was there, frosted. The shape was not visible from the front. The frosting and the angle made the window opaque from inside. But in the mirror, in the specific angle the mirror provided, the silhouette had been visible. A shape that should not have been there, on the outside of a 3rd floor bathroom window. I left the bathroom. I left the apartment. I went into the hallway, and I called 911 from the hallway. I described my floor, my unit, the bathroom window on the north side of the building. I described what I had seen in the mirror. Officers came. They accessed the exterior. My building had a fire escape on the north side. The fire escape ran past my bathroom window. On the fire escape landing directly outside my window, a man. He had come up the fire escape. He had been at my bathroom window. The officers brought him down. He would not say how long he had been there. He would not explain why. He had a prior trespassing charge at a different residential building 2 years earlier. He was charged and removed. The detective who spoke with me afterwards said something I have repeated many times since. He said, "The mirror showed you what you couldn't have seen directly. The angle, the geometry of that specific reflection. If you had been standing at the window looking out, you would have seen nothing. The frosting would have blocked it, but the mirror caught the light from the other side. The mirror saw what your eyes couldn't, and you trusted what the mirror showed you. You didn't second-guess it. You didn't tell yourself it was a trick of the light or a shadow from the street. You saw it. You left. You called. That sequence, see leave call, is exact. It's the right order. A lot of people get it wrong. They see and then they investigate instead of leave. You left first. That's the whole thing. See, leave, call. In that order. Not see and investigate. Not see and try to understand. See, leave, call. I think about the mirror. About the fact that the answer was in the reflection. That the direct view would have shown me nothing. That it was the angle, the indirect view, that showed me what was there. And I think about how many things in life are like that. The threat that is invisible from the front. That only becomes visible when you are looking at something else entirely. When the angle is right. When you are not looking for it. And it appears anyway. In a mirror. At 8:30 on a Tuesday evening. While you're doing the most ordinary thing in the world.